Carly.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Good
I've
morning.
never
Can y'all hear
used
me?
Google Hang-
Yeah, it's
Hi.
pretty cool.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi,
Okay.
morning.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
Good,
Good.
thank you.
Is that light bad behind me?
A little bit.
Let me try to move.
Right.
I meant my power's out today, so I had to go to a friend's.
Oh no.
Oh,
Yeah. Hold on. Okay. That's better. So, yep, I was kind enough to have a friend, lucky enough to be able to do this because the electrical company shut our power down today.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we were in blackout. So, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good to see you, Christine. It's been a while. How are you feeling?
Yeah, finally.
Good, good. Well, we know you've been busy. And then Genesis is here, and and then Carly. And Lindsay is new. So, Lindsay, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what your interests are, and how you're going to be helping Girls in Power. And then we're going to talk about our highs and our low for this week. Go ahead.
okay. So I'm Lindsay. Nice to meet you all. I'm originally from Scotland, but I live in Thousand Oaks in California now. Um, I kind of like all different kinds of things. I enjoy reading. I like to be outside, anything outdoors. And yeah, so I'm going to be helping on this HR side of things, um, just as an HR assistant. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much me.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you. Um, Carly, why don't you tell us about your high and your low for the week?
Um, my high for the week was on Saturday. I went to a Blake Shelton concert and it was awesome. And my low of the week was Monday and Tuesday. I was just like nonstop busy with school and work, so it was like going and going and going. But
Right. And you finally got to relax by the end of the week?
yeah.
Good. How did you do on your goals, would you say?
I did well on one of my tests. I got over 100%, so that was good because I studied for like a few hours before the test.
Wow.
So that was awesome.
Good. Genesis, how about you? Your high and your low?
So my high was I got a 98 on my criminal psychology test, and my low was I didn't get to sleep in at all this week.
You didn't get a what?
To sleep
You didn't
very
get enough
much.
sleep? Okay. All right. I'm sorry about that. That seems to try to kind of be the trend for you kids in school, huh? Be sure to take your rest. How would you say you've been doing on your being still and creating a margin of 5 minutes in your day of just being able to rest and be still and be in the moment?
I'm getting better about it this week than I was last week. I've found I have more time now as compared to last week, so it's getting better.
All right, good. Christine, how you been and what's your high and your low?
I've been great, thank God. My school has been very busy with different activities, so I wasn't really able to rest that well, but I'm glad that somehow I was able to make progress. So my
Good.
high of the week was that I was able to buy my mom a phone, a
Yay.
new phone, and she has been already using this. It's a good phone. However, it's very slow in my perspective, it's very slow and it's not that good, I think. So I bought her a new phone for her birthday, and she really liked it.
That's
And
nice.
my low of the week is that you know how I teach students from Japan and Korea, and I was hoping I will be able to finally teach them after 2 weeks of not being able to work online. And when I already opened my classes for them to book, I was only able to attend 2 classes out of 7 booked classes. And
Oh,
I was very disappointed because I wasn't able to meet them, and I was very excited when I found out that they booked my classes, but I wasn't able to attend because I had urgent matters to attend to. So,
So what happens if you don't show up to those?
well, they will get another tutor as a
Ah, okay.
substitute. But then again, it's just like it's very awkward, especially if they will book my classes next time since we're very close to each other. So it's
Right.
kind of hard to explain. Yeah.
I bet. I bet. Let's see. For me, well, I'm happy to be feeling better. I spent some time in the hospital last week, so I have a history of migraines, and I had had them going on for a week, not controlled with medicine or responsive to medicine. So it usually ends me up in the ER, and then whatever they did helped temporarily, but I was back at the doctor's the next day, and I started a new treatment, so I'm feeling good. That treatment's working, but I have to end the treatment, and then we'll see if the headache's really gone or it's just being masked temporarily from taking the inflammation down. So, but I'm not in pain today, so it's like I'm very grateful, and I can use my brain. It's very frustrating when I need to work and get things done, but we're excited about the Surefire Girl Conference coming up. For those of you who've signed up to help us, I just shipped off the items for the bags for the girls and the moms, and I'll be sending out our timeline shortly for Saturday's events, but I'm thankful to all of you who can attend and to help, and we'll miss those who can't be there. So I don't know if you've had time to look at the workbook for today for week 6. Week 6 is talking about boundaries and limits, as well as a fixed and growth mindset. I mean, that's really the meat of the program this week. However, I want you to be able to spend some time. I know you're all really busy with school or work or a combination thereof, and being, and trying to stay healthy. But if you want to take some creative time and some play time and some time out for yourself, take and do that vision board if you haven't created a vision board, and you see that it's in this week. It's time to take your, wheel of life, your priorities, your SMART goals that you've done, and I'd like to also hear how you guys have been doing on that SMART goal method and following your daily habits. So I want to hear from you about that. But get out a piece of poster board and create that vision board. All right. But we're going to talk about boundaries and limits and about why those are important, and when you notice that your boundaries are being crossed, especially if you're either working towards a goal or a mission or a project, but also just in every day-to-day life, dealing with family and friends, co-workers, partners, and how those boundaries can easily be crossed if you're experiencing anxiety or self-doubt or frustrations or anger towards loved ones who aren't able to recognize the boundary that you've tried to set, or perhaps you're not being effective with how you've set that. So before we go on, I'd like to go back to your SMART goals that you set last week and tell me how you feel you've been doing, and have your list of daily habits been helping you, and have you been using your track to success. I didn't get anybody's logs, so I'd like to see those logs. I had asked for everyone to send those to me last week. So Carly, how about you? How do you think you've been doing with your SMART goal that you set for yourself? I know you got a great grade on a test, but overall, I mean, if you take the whole week as a whole, not just the one test, but would you say each day, do you feel like you're striving and you're going through your daily habits to work towards your goal?
Yeah, well, my SMART goal that I set for myself last time was buying a car. And so I thought a lot about it, and I talked with a lot of people, so I decided to hold off on that. So that's kind of deciding about a SMART goal that I did. So I'm just going to wait until I'm not.
Great. Have you set a new goal now? Have you been able to apply a new goal to the SMART template?
I haven't really thought about it that much yet. But
okay, well, I challenge you to try to do that.
Yeah.
Once you get one off your plate and you've made a decision and you can move on, it's time now to use the method and apply the daily habits. Valerie, welcome. How are you today?
I'm fine. I've been listening. I've been watching, but I hit the wrong link. So
no problem.
I was watching. I listened to your story about your medication and get it off. I've been watching.
Awesome.
Why don't I see myself? I went back to and it hit the wrong email and did it wrong. So
Okay.
apologies. Here I am.
No, well, welcome, welcome. Would you like to share your high and your low real quick with us?
Yes, I will quickly do that. I'm trying to remember. I think my low was last night when I realized how far behind I had gotten on our workbook activities. That was a big source of stress for me. It just kind of hit me out of nowhere. I went, wait, I didn't. It's not that I haven't worked on Girls Empowered, because I've been working happily on, which you will see tomorrow,
Awesome.
on our radio podcast. However, the workbook, which is really the foundational, stuff that I need to do, I've kind of got sidetracked from that, as you saw, because I sent you an email.
Yeah.
I ask forgiveness. That's all I can do.
Well, of course we give you grace. What do you think? Is there anything that we can do, or I can do, or do you have a question for me, and what can help you be more successful with that, or get back on track?
I'll give it some thought. I will
Okay.
ask you that. I did, in trying to hurriedly fill out my my weekly reflection, I started to think of it as being redundant, me saying redundant things. Do you feel that are you wanting to have totally different answers when you say something like,
It's purely subjective. It's coming from you, from your point of view, your perspective. So it's subjective. It's not. There's no comparisons being made from necessarily you to somebody else.
Okay.
It's where you're at in the moment and what has come up for you over this past week, whether you've had challenges or you haven't. It's a time. It's a time for you also to have some self introspect on, hey, what am I going through right now, and how do and it's going to invoke feelings and thoughts and how you're going to be looking at yourself, because you're going through those questions, and you're answering, and I'm asking you to turn them in. So it's a natural process to then maybe question yourself about how far you've come in your journey to this point. But remember, this is it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, as one of my advisors is always reminding me, that it's baby steps. It's getting back on the horse. If you've fallen off, if you missed a day of doing your daily habits, it's setting the intention at the very least to do it the next day. All right, and that's how I can encourage all of you, that if you fall down, or there's a bump in your road, or other things come up and you feel like they're keeping you, it is really up to you to set the intention, and it's actually you to push yourself to do the things, because and I'm speaking to all of you, I'm not speaking to Valerie, I hope you all know that part of why I teach being still and then creating margins in the very first week, and obviously this is a lot of our program materials condensed into 6 weeks, but is building that habit in first, that being still habit. I can't stress enough how important it is. If you can get that down, everything else is going to fall into place. The more moments you have to have clear thinking, be in the moment, not be obsessing about what you're not doing or about what may happen in the future, right? We're called to be in the moment and to be in the present time, and not to be in the past or the future. And if you can get that done right first, that's going to help build you long-term success foundationally. Number 2, to quiet the mind, which goes right back to being still. The only way to quiet the mind and to get really good at that is to recognize that it's happening in the moment. And the only way that you're going to recognize it is if you're actually spending still to be quiet. Then once you've done that, you recognize the negative thinking or critical thinking or doubt that creeps in, worries, fears, anxieties, things about the past or the future. Then it's time to start your counter thoughts, your mantras, your counter responses, and you do those over and over and over and over. The other stuff is set in this program to help you just practice what it means to prioritize, what it means to see what your wheel of life looks like, what it means to have balance, what a goal is, and then practicing and working towards that goal by utilizing all the tools that I'm giving you at the same time. So does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you really just have to get up and you have to keep trying. You have to keep trying to be still. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. It's like anything, whether you're riding a bike, whether you want to become a writer, whether you want to become a speaker, whether you want to gain more endurance in your athleticism. I mean, any one of those things, and that's what we're going to talk about, as you'll see, is the fixed versus growth mindset. That really applies to what I'm touching upon right now is that it's not going to happen overnight. You have to practice it. You have to want it. You have to desire the change in your life. You have to believe that you can do it before you do it. You have to have a bigger why you need to do it, because you know it's gonna be healthy for you. You know it's gonna give you more peace of mind. You know, I find that if you attach it to a bigger why, is you're gonna get better results. For me, adopting these tools, I was tired of being suicidal. I was tired of wanting to die. I was tired of living in pain and anguish and fear and worry. So for me, I reached a moment where I'm like, enough is enough. You know, enough of the BS. What do I need to do? And then I finally worked with people that called me on my bullshit, and I couldn't bullshit them anymore. So I mean, that's how it worked for me, because then I was very eager to like not want to live like I had been living. Does that make sense? So let's talk about boundaries and limits. These are really, really vital actually to your success in life and to your sanity, to your health, to your emotional well-being, to your state of mind. I don't know about you, and I'd like if I have a volunteer or two to share with me if you've been in situations, if you have loved ones that you love to death, but you find that they cross your boundaries and they push your limits all the time. Do you have some of those in your life? Am I just the only one?
I had a friend who would like blame me for everything if her life was going like not the way she wanted to, and she would just like make my life 10 times more stressful. So we ended up not being friends anymore actually for a long time, and then we were friends again, and she started she was better, and then she went right back to how she was doing it before. So we don't talk at all anymore.
Right. So I mean, and that's an extreme boundary that Carly's had to draw. I mean, I can't tell you how many times every couple years that I clean house and I get rid of people in my life. Or now it's more, I don't really have to do that. They just naturally happen. Or even better than that, I don't pick up toxic people anymore, because I take that fishbowl perspective that I taught you in the first week, right? Mentioned this. You're going to use this fishbowl perspective in relation to your boundary setting, because the only way to know if someone's pushing your boundary and if it's truly an issue with them and not with you is to have that fishbowl perspective. And it's to step back and zoom out and look and actually become the observer in that conversation. Not the person actually going through it, but get out of your body and become the observer. That's the only way that you're going to be able to change the dynamic of that relationship. And then you're going to discover what type of boundary do you need to set. Now, next step is then to go to the other lessons that I taught you about empathy, compassion, validating, using I statements, right? You have to be able to use that type of communication, which is effective, in order to draw your appropriate boundary or set your limit with somebody. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. There also are a variety of choices. You can quietly start distancing yourself. If this person's too confrontational and it's too emotionally charged, then you distance yourself. You get time and you get space in between it. You come to that logic place, the non-reactive place, and that's the second part of that. Fishbowl perspective, thinking logically versus reactionary. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Does anybody have any questions for me at this point about maybe you have an experience you'd like to share that didn't go right, and you want to ask the group, okay, well, could I have done differently? Or if you've been trying to set a boundary with a specific person and it's not working, and then maybe you want to share the dynamics and I can help brainstorm. I'm happy to do that, to put it into a practical sense. Anybody?
I have something.
Okay, great.
But it's hard for me to talk because my daughter's here and it concerns my daughter.
Okay.
My boundaries is she wants a long encompassing story is she wants to live with me, but she also wants to do anything and everything that she wants to do. She's 19.
Right, so she doesn't want to follow the house rules.
No, she does not want to follow house rules. We had a talk. It did not go well when she wanted to come live with me again, and it went fine because I put the boundaries and the rules, my expectations that were open for discussion, and even in attempting to discuss, she didn't argue with me, but tears ran down her face. She went off to therapy. She came back and said the therapist said, I shouldn't live with you. And I don't know how true that is.
Okay. So I guess the first question is, do you want her to live with you? Are you okay with that?
Yes and no. If I have her live with me, it will hamper my recovery and my getting back into having a life for myself. She wants
Well,
to be here, so what she does is she sleeps over at a house that her father owns that he uses as an office, but it's our old home. She was going to move there, but she moved into a little cubicle there. And what I was fearful of is that she would go there, sleep there at night, come want to hang out here all day long with me, which she does want to do. And she immediately, the second she moved to that house, she immediately came over, and I gently told her I said, I really, discourage you coming over here and hanging out. I said, what I don't want to happen is for you to move somewhere else so that you can have all this freedom and then come hang out at my house and live here during the day but sleep somewhere at night and you manipulated the situation so that you don't get what you want. But I said, I don't think that that's the healthy thing to do. Then she became overly sensitive and said, so you don't want me to ever come here unless I have a specific reason. I said I wouldn't go that far. I said, however, I don't think it's a great idea. I said, the one thing I don't want, which was what we discussed, is for you to sit around all day and watch movies and draw pictures. And she said, fine, and she became sensitive about it, and then she's very respectful. So she doesn't see me for a while, but now, like today, she texted me and said, I'm being distracted here. Her father runs the business out of our old house, and she doesn't feel, she's not socialized with those people, doesn't want to be around them.
Sure. So she asked permission to come by today?
She has to come here. I didn't respond because I was a little frazzled this morning trying to get ready and do last minute things and showering, so I didn't respond. And when I got out of the shower, she wrote me a text saying, "You're my mom. I know you love me. I'm going to come over and do homework at your house." Now, she's coming, she is doing homework, but she feels that she can come. But I do believe that that's going to be a situation that I know this is what she wants. Even if she doesn't realize it. She's trying to get all her freedom there and then come here to do whatever she wants.
So you're going to have to continue to ask yourself, what is it that you want? What is your ideal situation? What type of relationship you want? And how much do you want your daughter involved in your life? Meaning, how much and how often do you want her at your house? The other thing, since you've already had the conversation, and it sounds like via her text that she is acknowledging the discussion that you had, which I think is really good. She's not in denial of the situation. She's not in denial of the fact of how you feel, that you don't want her to come over there and be a couch potato and and hang out and just take advantage of that situation. Right. So what you have to do and what you have to be very consistent with, and this goes for all of you when trying to draw or attempting and doing your boundaries and drawing those with people, is a gentle reminder, nothing that has to be over the top, and I encourage you from my own experience to not let things fester and bottle up. I'll admit I have a really hard time hurting people or having to say no. I mean, I've really had to heal over that, right? But when it comes to something like this, you have to remind yourself, like I did, if this relationship is really important to me, meaning if I want to keep this intact and I want it to be a long-term loving relationship, but it has to have significantly strong boundaries, then those gentle reminders before it gets out of hand, like today, if you think, for example, that she's come over there and she's gone beyond her homework and now she's completely whatever, doing something that's beyond what you wanted and what you've discussed, a gentle reminder is, hey, remember our deal. Hey, remember our conversation about my concern. And she may get defensive if she doesn't. Okay, goodbye. Maybe it's time that you leave now. If she doesn't, maybe she'll be thinking about it. If it happens again, it's a gentle reminder that this is the agreement we have. If you have to have another conversation to define what that is, when is it okay for her to come, how long is it? You may have to go that far to set very exact parameters. She may be a type of person, without me knowing her, that needs very specifics, black and white, when it comes to those types of parameters. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. She does suffer from anxiety and depression, and I don't. And so that's another consideration. And
you don't have to take that on. Yes, you use that to be compassionate with, and you can validate her. Like, I see that you're anxious today, or I see that you may be having a hard time. This is our agreement. However, how about if you can stay another, I'll let you stay another hour. I want you to validate her. But I don't want you to use it and enable her so that it's codependency.
Yes, that's my problem, and I don't know how far to go with what
Well, you have to become unenmeshed with her if she's depending and relying on you.
Yeah, it's just she has a lifetime of learning to manipulation. So
I understand.
Untruths, exaggerate. I'm just what I'm doing. No,
I get it. Well, so, like I said, and then you're going to have to reevaluate it for yourself, for your own health and your own state of mind. That is your job, and nobody's going to do that for you. You have to do that. If it becomes so unhealthy that you're not progressing in life and it's tearing you down, then you may have to cut that umbilical cord completely temporarily for a period of time.
Right.
Until she gets a clue. She may not ever, I don't know, but I have seen people change. I've seen people that have trouble with untruths, that when you consistently draw your boundaries and you speak with love and you speak with compassion, but you're very firm with your boundary. I don't mean angry firm. I just mean loving firm with your boundary. Loving firm with what the parameters are. They can and will come around. But it takes a lot of effort from you in the beginning to consistently do that. Those type of people, they will, if you give them a crack to slither through on one day that you're just not feeling up and you're not feeling your best, I'm telling you, on those days that you're not feeling up and you're not feeling your best, it is better to tell her it is not a good day for you to come over.
Oh.
Because you will not be strong enough to draw your boundary. I promise you. If you're having a down day, if you're having a depressed day, if you're having an anxious day yourself, that type of person is too toxic for you that day. And you can say lovingly, hey, it's not a good day. I do love you. I'm going to let you know if I'm better tomorrow. Okay? That way you're drawing that clear line for her.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I would encourage you to listen back. You can watch this replay, and I want you to take short notes just on the action steps that I told you to apply in that relationship. I've had to myself write these things down to remind me, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to say to my daughter. Oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to say to my husband. Oh yeah, this is what I have to keep repeating until I blue in the face. But yes, this is what you have to do, because I promise you, if you will learn, either it's going to be successful or it's not. Either you're going to develop a relationship with her that works for you, right? If you do, your relationship may go so far and she's like, I don't like this anymore, too many rules. I don't know, but your guilt might come up, right? Right. But you have to give yourself grace on that. Make sense? So, have I talked enough about limits and boundaries? I mean, does anybody need any more specifics, or was that a great illustration for us to use and see how you draw a boundary with somebody?
Mm-hmm.
Was that helpful, Genesis and Christine?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on, because when we're going after our goals and we're conquering the world and we're making progress, or we hit bumps in our road, it's really important that we're aware of a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, and ask yourself, which one do I have, right? Because a fixed mindset is going to keep you stunted in your growth, meaning you're not only going to go so far until you actually can get out of the fixed mindset and you can go to a growth mindset. So let me turn my page there. Maybe you all can turn your pages there. And I'll share my screen with you.
Hang on.
What?
My cat was sitting on it.
Ah.
I turned my page.
So I think you remember I mentioned, can you all see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Allison Miller, she had a PhD in clinical psychology. I think I mentioned her last week.
Yes.
She is the one that taught this to our girls in Girls in Power a while back, and I think it's great that she's teaching women that there's these two mindsets that we can have. And in a fixed mindset, a lot of times we we believe that we are only, only what our degree says, or we are only what experience we have. We only have capacities and qualities up to a certain point that can't be changed. That's fixed. That's very black and white. And a growth mindset is more about understanding that you can cultivate growth. You can cultivate creativity, success, ideas, all through your efforts. It's a combination of everything that you do, that everything that you acquire as you grow each day, that you can put towards your competence and your knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Have I illustrated enough the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you can see on side by side on page 12, there is the differences. For example, fixed mindset is focus on performance over learning, but the growth mindset is focus on learning over performance. So in other words, for us perfectionist type people, we don't want to get hung up on how well we're doing by quantifying it by a grade necessarily, because a lot of times we can come through a really difficult period in our life and maybe not understand why the difficulty is happening, but understand the growth that has actually come from that particular challenge, or from that particular class that we were in, or that experience. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we quantify it more by the experience and how we've grown as a human, as an individual, right? Not by the data, like an A or a C or a D or a failed relationship, for example. Does that make sense? So there's other examples here. If you're a fixed mindset person, you might not like feedback or people giving their input. I'll admit I've had my challenge with this, and I've had to grow in this area. A growth mindset is, in other words, we go to our advisors. We seek the feedback because we realize we're going to be a better individual, more accomplished, more successful if we go to those wise people. So anytime you ever think that you might be having a hard time taking input, maybe you need to ask yourself, hey, am I having a fixed mindset right now? How do I need to get to a growth mindset? Maybe what's my fear about getting this input from this person, right? And when you go back to a growth mindset thinking, you could realize, you know what? I can actually learn more from a wiser person, somebody who's already done this, from an advisor, from a mentor. Can any of you relate to that? Yeah? Okay. Let's see. For another example, I'll just pull out here regarding a fixed mindset is feeling smart, capable, worthy when performance is good. But a growth mindset is feeling smart, capable, worthy when you are learning and stretching yourself. So once again, if you're only feeling worthy because you got that great A, that A, that 100%, and as soon as you get a not an A, a B, or a C, or a D, you're feeling like unworthy, you're not smart enough, you really need to take a good look at the reality of that you may be in a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And it's going to be much healthier, and you're going to get more out of life, and you're going to get more out of this experience if you stay in with that growth mindset. Make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. So I've already touched upon this a little bit, but what can you do to help yourself not fall into this trap? Obviously, keep awareness of both of them, right? Choose to believe that your efforts that you're putting forward and your persistence is what's going to be better for you. Let go of judging yourself or others too harshly. You can give constructive feedback, but also be able to take that constructive feedback. Compete less. Stop comparing yourself. I mean, I think natural tendencies for us is to compare ourselves, especially if you're out there looking on social media about what other people are doing and feeling like, I'm not doing enough, or they're smarter than me, or they're greater than me. Honestly, you're not in competition with anybody else. Nobody is calling you to the table and picking you apart next to somebody else. That's our own worst critic doing that to ourselves, right? So it's just remembering that you don't need to be in that place. You don't need to allow that trap to happen. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. This is, also why I've asked you up until this point to track your success, to have your daily habits associated with a goal. Because a lot of times we can pull ourselves out of that fixed mindset if we can see our efforts that are being put forth. If you're a person that's having a really hard time, recognizing your efforts in the moment and being able to give yourself a pat on the back. I was one of those people for years, couldn't take the kudos that people gave me, couldn't take the praise, couldn't recognize all my hard work for different things that I did. That's why I'm encouraging you to use, not because I'm trying to treat you like a child or suggesting it, but I'm asking you to keep track of your success so that you can actually feel proud and feel good that you are working towards something. Does that make sense? Yeah? All right, so I think the next one is to create some guidelines around this. So this is where you guys get to write down some ideas about where you need to work on yourself. So as you can see, some of the examples I've included are be confident, say no, ask for help, let go of negative thinking, trust my instincts. So I want you all to take a couple minutes right now and list out as many as you can that you are willing to recognize in yourself that needs work and needs improvement. Maybe some areas that you're spending too much time in a fixed mindset. Include those. So go ahead and take some time. Okay, how you guys doing? A couple more minutes? Okay, Carly, would you like to begin sharing some of the areas that you, some ideas that you had?
Sure. I wrote down to be happy with what I've accomplished, even if it's not like the full goal that I want. Push through when I have a task that I don't want to do, like to just make sure I don't procrastinate and do it anyway.
Okay.
And look for the good in bad situations.
Good. Very good. All right. How about you, Christine?
Well, first, I It's what the first thing that came into my mind was learning how to move on from something I've already done, because usually I still strive to do something more than I've already accomplished. So for example, if I have a project in school and it has already been submitted, I will still think of ways on how I could have done that better, and at the end it's just really adding up to the pressure I have put to myself. So I'd
So,
like to do
so how
that.
could you so can you write one simple sentence to help remind you, or write down your goal for a guideline?
I think it's just being satisfied on what I have accomplished.
Good. Okay, great, great. I'd encourage you to come up with a couple more, and then have like a total of 3 that you can use as guidelines to help you out throughout your life. Okay, Genesis, how about you?
I wrote prioritize because I know I just kind of start doing things. I'm like, oh, but I could be doing this instead, and then I start doing something else, and then I start doing something else.
I'm sorry, I can't hear
I
you
should,
very well. Can you repeat that?
so I wrote prioritize because
Okay.
I'll start doing something, and then I'm like, oh, but I should be doing something else instead, or I should be doing something else instead of that.
Okay.
So I know how to prioritize and like not procrastinate.
Okay, great. All right. Do you have a daily habits list that you're using right now?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been able to use that? Do you feel effectively? Is it helping keeping you on track for some of your important things that you need to get done?
Yeah. I just like keep looking it up and I'm like, okay, so I should be doing this first. And
Okay,
then
good.
do
All right, great. Anything else you want to add to that?
no. I
Nope.
think that's it.
Okay. Lindsay, how about you? Did you participate and get anything down on your paper?
Yeah, so I have two things. The first one I've put down is just to be more positive about aspects in my life rather than negative, because I tend to, at the end of the day, I'll think of the things that went wrong instead of the more positive
Oh,
parts of my day. So I
right.
maybe just need to start being a bit more positive in my thinking,
Great. Well, I'll
especially with.
send you. I want to send you week 1, because week 1, the first thing everybody learns is to write 3 things down that they're grateful for. So in a journal. So that if you can start doing that every day, that's going to help a lot and will help change your perspective over time. And go on.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Share. What else did you have?
And the second one was to just be able to say no if I need to, because a lot of the time I'll just say yes to someone, even if I know that it's going to push me too far or I'm taking too much on. So I could probably work on that a little bit as well.
Okay, good. Well, that's good insight. That's important. That's a big one. A lot of our program is written to talk about how we can become a little bit more selfish and understanding what our needs are first, so that we can be even a better person for everybody else around us. And that part of that is learning to say no to certain things. Great. Valerie, how about you?
Oh, me? I have put defeat distraction. I get distracted very easily. There's a million things always going on and that command my interest.
Okay.
Defeat distraction. Add structure to my life.
Okay.
Trying to teach my daughter, but maybe I need a little of that.
I would start with you first, and not and you know, once you capitalize on it, you're modeling that behavior. That's where we see change. That's what this whole program is about, you guys. Especially with girls that are trying to change their world, whether it's their sisters, brothers, or parents, their girlfriends, or whether it's parents trying to change the world and their relationship with their kids. It's all about modeling and becoming that good person who's doing, who's empathetic, who's compassionate, who's got structure, but who's also knows how to take downtime and rest and be still. A person who knows how to control their mind, a person that knows how to control their mouth and appropriately speak. I mean, those are all things that if we model, other people will learn. Make sense? What do you think will help you, Valerie, with defeating distraction? Have you tried any new tactics or tools that you've applied whether it be like a timer component or something else that or have you been looking for anything?
I have not. I want to go to My Tomatoes because I think that might be something that will help me be a little more structured. I have filled in my daily habits list, although I only came up with 8.
That's fine. That's fine.
Because there's 10 slots. And
no, that's fine. But you know what? At number 9 and 10, or break them up, put be still in between.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
Do that.
Well,
so rewrite your list. Rewrite your list.
Meditate, which is a broad stroke for still. I do have that on the list, and that's actually number 1 on the list.
Okay, good.
So I do have that daily habits, and you must realize too that I was either self-employed for a long time, or I haven't had to be employed. Yep. My days have been very, random. I do what I want it, and so now, and it's not like I'm personally like that. One of the things I did this last week was take a Myers-Briggs personality. Oh, good. But so I'm not by nature scattered, well, somewhat. But I'm not, when I have something to do, when I have structure in my life, when I was working very structured, very accomplished, it's hard to rein it in when I haven't had to do that for a long time.
Yes, so, I know.
So I'm going to try to, it may take me a couple weeks to even get into truly creating a habit, but I will use that habit list, and maybe I might go to that mytomatoes.com too.
Yeah, check it out. I mean, and I think there's a lot of other things out there that can be useful that are the same sort of thing that help you with distraction or keep you on I would rather say keep on track. That's a more positive way. I would try to write all of your guidelines in a positive sense, like staying positive or keeping on track rather than framing it or phrasing it in a negative fashion. So does anybody have any questions before we end? No. So this is 6 weeks. It's a lot of information. I mean, you guys can go back and revisit it at any time. I would love a testimonial. I'd asked for it last week, so whenever you get a chance, that would be great. I will be sending an email out regarding the Surefire event, and if some people are interested in carpooling, then that's possible too. So it's been a pleasure, though, leading you guys with the information in the workbooks that we do with young girls and parents. I hope you've gotten a lot out of it, and that you'll be able to continue to practice these things for success. And a lot of you I'll be seeing again and again and again, so we're not going anywhere. It's not like we're ending something today. This is still just the beginning. So I love working with each of you guys. You've all been great in contributing. And HR will be sending you out some things periodically that we'll ask you to do to check in with each other. And I look forward to just continuing to work with everyone.
Are we going to keep doing our Monday mornings?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, it's going to continue. And so, like, for example, Lindsay, anybody in that's hired within the last week, for example, Carly, this is good for you to tell Kathy as well. Yeah. By the way, Kathy, you guys are missing Kathy. She went away this weekend, and her flight, she couldn't get back in time. So she was supposed to have been back yesterday or whatever last night, and her flight got canceled or delayed out of Chicago. So that's why she's not with us. So what will happen is we will start next week and repeat the information. But we can expand if it's most of the people in our same group. We can talk about other things. We can actually revisit any one of the topics. So it doesn't have to just be that. But certainly, I encourage you to join on the call, and there'll be new faces each week as new people are hired and brought on. And I like to try to, how do I say it? I like to try to invite, other people from some of our other teams, like the HR, their bloggers, Carly. So okay. I think that we should extend the invitation out to everybody, in the organization to learn what we do, because it'll help them in their writing and the background knowledge. And same with the grant team. I'm getting ready to meet with them too, like a mastermind group like I do with Valerie and Isha. Mm-hmm. But Isha's not with us, by the way. Pray for her. She's had a sore throat and a headache, so she's not really filling up. Obviously, she didn't fill up enough to get onto the Hangout today, but she did send me an email and wishes you all well. So with that being said, I wish you guys a great week. Stay positive. I know it's hard. Give yourself grace if you need a day to just cry it out. There's nothing wrong with that. But get back on the horse and and try everything again. I'll see you guys next week, and hopefully we'll see some new faces, Carly. So please get an email out to everybody and
Okay.
explain that this is just, it's more knowledge and information about our program, and it's to help them as well.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.